Hi, I'm Barry Duncan, and you may have heard CDOI or seen it on this website, or perhaps you're new on the Heroic Agencies list and see people talking about CDOI and you wondered, what in the heck is CDOI? We'd like to take a few minutes now and explain what that is to you, partially as a teaser for a free webinar that's also on this website entitled, What in the Heck is CDOI? First, let me read this definition to you, and then we'll go through each piece in tandem, and I'll explain a bit about what it means. Client-directed, outcome-informed ideas and practices, CDOI, contains no fixed techniques or causal theories regarding the concerns that people bring to treatment. Any interaction can be client-directed and outcome-informed when the consumer's voice is privileged, when social justice is embraced, and when recovery is expected, and helpers purposely form strong partnerships to 1. Enhance the factors across all theories and techniques that account for how people change in treatment. 2. To use the client's own ideas and preferences, what we call the client's theory of change, to guide choice of theory and technique. And 3. To inform the work with reliable and valid measures of the client's view of benefit and the client's view of the alliance, and use that information to tailor the service. So that's the definition that you'll run across, but let's look and see what each of those aspects mean. First of all, CDOI is not a model of practice. It contains no fixed techniques or no fixed causal explanations of why people seek treatment or why people have problems. And think about that for a minute. Why is that? Well, for one reason, we believe that it's very limiting to have just one set of ideas about how people come to treatment or about how they can be helped. Going along with that, of course, you know that no one model's ever shown that it's better than any other. So you would be limiting yourself just right from the get-go when you limit yourself to just one explanation and ritual to try to be helpful to people. And if there was such an approach, we would all be practicing it. We wouldn't even need to be having this conversation. Secondly, it makes a lot of sense to have a lot of ideas at your disposal. So plurality of perspective is embraced by CDOI. In fact, we believe that you should have many of those different kinds of ideas, ready to go to make sure that you can fit a particular client at a particular time. Because any of those approaches may be just the ticket for a particular client, because there may not be differential efficacy among psychotherapy approaches on aggregate, but there may be differential efficacy for the client in your office right now on a particular approach that will fit their own sensibilities of how they can change. Any interaction can be client-directed and outcome-informed when 1. The consumer's voice is privileged. Now, a lot of approaches talk about privileging the consumer's voice, but we really try to walk the walk with that. In fact, that was the original impetus for this whole way of working, was to make sure that the client's experience of the problem and the solution was centered in the process and honored in the process. So it is part and parcel to a CDI approach that we honor the client's perspective, that we privilege their voice. When social justice is embraced. Now, what do we mean by that? Well, we believe that CDOI must really take it on in a purposeful way to make sure that clients have a voice in the process. And in fact, we will amplify their voice in the process, and that's what the measures are all about. We're going to make sure that clients are indeed central partners. They are stakeholders in decisions about their own care. We've invited them into the inner circle of how decisions are made about their own care. So in that way, we believe we level the counseling process to a large degree and offer a nice mechanism to be able to do that. Also, we expect recovery. If you know anything about the recovery movement, you know it's a movement away from illness and diagnosis and prescriptive treatments and symptom management, more to a viewpoint that everybody can recover. Everybody can transform their lives and live a more meaningful life. We embrace that philosophy about how people change and don't actually believe in maintenance and sustenance. We believe that people can recover from whatever problems that they happen to be dealing with. And then finally, we want to form purposeful partnerships to accomplish 3 tasks. And we have the word purposeful in there because we know it's hard work. We have to be conscious and proactive to form partnerships with people, and it's not always easy. So that's there to just reflect that it's something that we go into thinking about. And we try to accomplish 3 tasks. The first task is to enhance the factors that run across all treatments that account for how people change. Of course, this is the common factors. The main ones are the client, the alliance, and restoring hope. The client is the heart. The alliance is the soul. In fact, it's that tried and true but taken for granted old friend of the therapeutic alliance. And finally, the notion that we need to enhance and restore people's hope that they can change. You know, along the lines of Jerome Frank remoralizing folks so they no longer think that they have to live out their lives, living out a sentence of misery. So that's the first task that we try to accomplish, and that is enhancing the factors across all treatments that account for how people change. The second one is kind of the lifeblood of a CDOI approach, and that is, you know, utilizing the client's own ideas and preferences to guide choice of model and technique, what we call the client's theory of change. And in fact, this was how client-directed all got started, way back in 1900, well, no, it wasn't 1900, it was 1992, when we first started developing the notion of the client's theory of change. So it's an important idea that we want to make sure that we solicit, that we know, we really go after the client's local knowledge and expertise about how their problem can be solved. This doesn't mean that we don't have anything to offer, of course, nor does it mean that we can't, you know, have models and techniques at our disposal. But the real question is whether it resonates, whether it picks up on the client's own sensibilities and cultural background about how they can be helped. And then finally, the third part, and a very critical part, is to inform the work with reliable measures of outcome and the alliance. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. We have to know whatever service that we're providing, that the client's benefiting from it, and that the client believes that it's a good fit for what their expectations are. So in other words, we don't need to know what specific treatment for which diagnosis ahead of time for any client. Rather, what we need to know is whether this client in our office right now is receiving benefit from our services and believe it's a good fit. So is this client right now getting the changes that they're looking for? So collecting this kind of information, we call it practice-based evidence. It's the kind of evidence you collect in a collaborative, transparent way with clients, and together you monitor the benefit of the service. If these ideas seem interesting to you, I hope you check them more out on the website, www.heartandsoulofchange.com, or you check out the free webinar about what in the heck is CDOI. Thanks a lot. I hope to see you back on the website soon.